Hamza.
You see, it is exciting and interesting listening to Paul on the issue of Galamsey. And I was taken aback with his attempted justification of the Yamin issue, pulling in the Frimpong-Boateng report. First of all, like you indicated, it was a newspaper publication that sought to create the impression that the national organizer of the National Democratic Congress and that of our vice chairman, Abanga, were engaged in activities that they considered untoward and derailing of the president's fight against illegal mining. Being a listening government, the Attorney General decided to act on that intel and referred the matter to another state institution to investigate. That is being proactive. That is responsibility. But you had a situation where a former minister responsible for environment presented a report in which he indicted even the president's most powerful uncle, a cousin, and no investigation was conducted. So the two are not the same. That tells you the commitment of this government when it comes to the fight against illegal mining and our readiness not to entertain any politically exposed person associated with the government or the party in matters of Galamsey. That decision should let you know that there's a difference in any case. You see, I listened to, my brother also referenced the jaundice submissions of a very good friend of mine, Miracles Aboagye, on the origin of Galamsey. And I think I monitored that engagement with them on Good Evening in Ghana. And I was hugely disappointed by the lack of industry and research. Because what I know is that media men, you are supposed to hold us accountable. You do not just create a platform for us to come and free flow without any check. A simple check would have told you that the menace of Galamsey, as we have it today, did not start under President John Evans Atta Mills like they sought to create the impression on that platform, and like he's done, and he has referenced on the same platform. Indeed, the issue of Galamsey became topical, and our water bodies started getting polluted after 2003. When His Excellency President John Agyekum Kufuor was president under an MPP government.
No,
please,
just a second. What I thought I heard Paul say, that the fight against Galamsey started from Samuel system. I'm
talking about the fight. The first time government, Professor Mills was the first president to begin and address Galamsey as a national
that's
issue.
what I heard him say.
The water bodies, the mining, you see the mining, Galamsey has been with us for 50 years. The mining in water bodies began around 2009, and the documentary is there. The evidence was provided.
So that is why Professor Mills was speaking. You see the mischief, and I monitored the program. So if you are patient, you understand.
That program. Okay.
The water bomb that 2009, that is being disingenuous to the literature.
Right.
And I'm going to demonstrate why.
Please do.
This is before me, the document, the World Bank report, Project Performance Assessment Report. Okay. Ghana Natural Resource and Environmental Governance, First Development Policy Operation. That is by the World Bank. And this is what it said. Mora, are you listening?
I'm listening. The
bank had been previously engaged in the natural resource sector through investment projects. And this was World Bank report of 2003. I mean, it's in 2009, 2003. It says, the bank had been previously engaged in the natural resource sector through investment projects, notably the 1998 to 2003 Natural Resource Management Project. Slow and uneven progress on policy reform did not translate into sustainable management practices because of overlapping responsibilities, distorted incentive structures, lack of transparency, poor governance, and the declining importance of non-productive environmental concerns to government. Following this, the bank had largely withdrawn from the natural resource sectors in Ghana. That was after 2003. That is a World Bank report. Again, go and read the Chirage report of 2008 on environmental protection and the effects of mining. Where in that report, then President Kufuor was president. NPP was in power. Where in that same report, Shiraj, a state institution, made references to River and Cobra, Birim, and I think the third one, I've forgotten the name of this one, about the polluted nature of these water bodies.
Is that Pra?
I think Pra.
Okay.
These are documents that you can easily verify, even with a simple Google search. And so that's why when I watched that Good Evening Ghana program, I was hugely disappointed in the kind of production that went into it. Because I know that I won't come and sit here and you allow me to rant without holding me to account or justify any reference I make to any assertions of illegal mining. So that is the fact. Indeed, when it comes to how bad the situation had become, it was under the President Kufuor era. So where he's right is that, yes, after 2009, especially when President Mills became president, he decided to confront the matter head on. And that is why by 2016, at the time President Mahama was leaving office, you saw the drone picture of the River and Cobra. That was posted by one of our celebrated drone pilots, Adams, right?
Yeah.
You saw how clear the River and Cobra had become by 2016. And what it became in about 3-4 months under His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Moro, these are the facts. And so when we make references to these interventions that we did to alleviate the situation based on what we inherited from the NPP President Kufuor era, we were justified to be appalled and angry by the havoc that was being caused to our water bodies under Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, another NPP regime. Because we're as usually creating the platform for our international partners to begin to withdraw from these sectors. That is what the literature says. Again, in 2016, when we were in the campaign, remember what? In Obuasi, this was what President Akufo-Addo said. He said, I was here in Obuasi to say that Galamsey, which I prefer to call small-scale mining, will be regularized to ensure that the youth all find work to do. Shortly afterwards, Mahama also came here to tell you that I was lying and that an Akufo-Addo government would rather sack everyone involved in Galamsey. That was the time President Mahama was mooting this idea of cooperatives to ensure responsible mining among small-scale miners. And this is what Akufo-Addo said. When he won the election, he rather directed soldiers to come and drive out all persons involved in Galamsey in Obuasi. That is Akufo-Addo referring to President Mahama. So President Mahama's record, as far as the fight against Galamsey was concerned, clearly, even His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo appreciated that effort. But what did we see upon assumption of office? Indeed, it was the media coalition of this country that decided to take Akufo-Addo to task on the issue of Galamsey, because the government had decided to be complicit and were justified for saying so. Remember that even when they banned small-scale mining for about a year or so, there were concerns of them using that so-called ban as a ruse to grab concessions for party functionaries and party associates to work. Was that not the case? We were not saying it. It was the media that was churning out many of these things. And did it stop the issue of Galamsey? Absolutely not, because they knew what they were doing. They wanted to capture the entire process. More so, these are the issues. And when people were talking about it, it was not just the NDC that was complaining about government's commitment to the fight against illegal mining. It was not the NDC. And true, yes, some of our associates or members of the National Democratic Congress agreed. And even just to put this on a lighter note, you remember somewhere in 2018, the then minister responsible for local government, Haji Ali Mahama, had cause to meet DCs and raise the issue that they had picked intel that many of them were engaged in illegal mining. Remember in 2018? Yeah. And indicated that they were keeping a tail on them and that if they don't stop their involvement in those activities, they would be dealt with. Less than 2 years, or about 2 years after that admonition, the president released a reshuffled list of district chief executives, sacked district chief executives. And one of them was the Amansi South DC, who openly defended the issue of Galamsey in his district. And coincidentally, the same day he was sacked was the same day, in August 2020, that my own brother, Dennis Aboagye, was sacked. So one can be forgiven to conclude that the earlier warning that Madam Alima Mahama gave about DCs involved in Galamsey probably influenced the decision to reassign these people because of how close they were to the issue of Galamsey. And I find unacceptable this strenuous effort by Paul and his NPP associates to create the impression that, oh, it looks like all politicians are the same. They said this and look, now you see there's no difference between the NPP and the NDC. Really? We are talking about a regime that your Kumasi mayor was engaged in mining in a forest reserve. Indeed, we are talking about a regime that made it legal through president's intervention, the presidential intervention, for
Kumasi
you to be able
mayor?
to mine in forest reserves.
Kumasi mayor?
Yes,
Or
sometimes.
Ashanti? Oh, okay, sometime.
At the time.
Okay.
They are national, they are Ashanti regional chairman. And a host of them were suspected to be engaged in illegal mining activities. And indeed, the minister responsible for lands and natural resources at the time, Honorable Aboagye Miracles, had cause to issue a letter about the activities of Wuntumi and Akonto mining. His Excellency President Nana proceeded to clear him of these allegations publicly. And so these were the conduct that made the Ghanaian people lose confidence, because they could point to about 1, 2, 3 political appointees who were neck deep. There was video evidence of those tasked with the responsibility of dealing with illegal mining actually receiving bribes to make way for concessions.
Yeah.
So it was within that frame that the Ghanaian people lost confidence in the regime. And true. Honestly, let us be honest.
Right.
Many of us said that, look, there's a need for the government to act, and the government failed to act. We have one power. The responsibility is now on the National Democratic Congress government and His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to be able to confront the menace. And more, upon assumption of office, His Excellency moved swiftly into action. We started with a stakeholder engagement in terms of an engagement with our chiefs and communities that are closer to these illegal mining sites. We have brought on board a number of policy interventions that ticks all the boxes when it comes to the UN guidelines on sustainability. Because we are engaged in a war of getting them out, illegal miners out of our forests. We have discovered communities, full-blown communities, that for 8 years the MPP failed to discover, that were engaged in illegal mining. The NIMOS is on the ground, as I speak with you today, discovering illegal mining communities and destroying same. We have seized a number of excavators. His Excellency President Mahama has proceeded to produce a special licensing regime for imported excavators into the country and a tracking system so that we are able to track the operations of the owners of these excavators. That is progressive. Again, we launched the outcomes there intended to ensure that we put small-scale miners into cooperatives and tie them to the district assemblies so that some amounts of money can be paid to the district assemblies to support the government's reclamation efforts when it comes to the degraded lands, and also help the people to be engaged in responsible mining. So we are ticking all the boxes, but I can understand the frustration of the Ghanaian people. They need quicker results. They need quick action because of what they were subject to in the last 8 years.
Right.
So their demands are justified. But the appeal I would like to make is that we have a 4-year mandate. Moro. This is what we have been able to do in a matter of 9 months in terms of our steps towards dealing with the issue of Galamsey.
Right.
Possibly after a year, we would review government interventions in that field. If we are convinced, like His Excellency President Mahama says, we are not ruling out the possibility of declaring a state of emergency. Absolutely not. If after taking stock of the interventions that we have been able to bring about, as far as that sector is concerned, and we feel strongly that there's a need for us to still continue to declare a state of emergency, be rest assured that the NDC government will not run away from that responsibility. But this attempt of strenuously trying to create the politics of equalization and create an impression as though the MPP and NDC are all the same will not be entertained. Our efforts can be verified. Our interventions are working on the ground. The results, yes, quite slow, but I can assure you that in a matter of a year, if we take stock and we are not excited about the peace, nothing will prevent His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and the NDC government from declaring.
Paul, I'll bring you back.